I want to lead into the question that I've kind of been apprehensive in asking, but there is another individual who is a bit similar to you in that he came about in popularity around 2008, 2009. He ended up broadcasting his Sonic fandom, his life in front of a camera, and was met by negative reactions from 4chan to all over the internet.
Was it
because of his behavior? Yes, we're referring to Christian.
Yeah, that was kind of obvious. Like,
if you can't guess at this point, yeah, no.
Yeah, he's perhaps even more notorious than I ever was. So.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sonic Historian. I'm your host, Radrey. I'm joined today, as always, by my co-host, Marc. And today on our show is the meme who's transcended not only just being a meme, we have Sammyclassicsonic How are you today, Sammy?
All right, you fricks. It's Sammyclassicsonic in the house. Just kidding. No, we're not doing that today.
I'm glad we got one. I'm glad we got one frick in.
But yeah, I am good. Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you, Sammy. I've been a big fan for years. Can you give? I mean, I'm very doubtful that there's anybody that doesn't know who you are. But would you give us a brief introduction of who you are or who you were? And
oh
what you're doing now?
yes, indeed. Yeah. So that weird impression that I did, which probably sounded terrible because like I physically can't make my voice that high anymore. That was just me sort of like imitating how I sounded in my most famous videos, which were about Sonic, because that was pretty much what my channel was about. I mean, it's still about that. I still have my YouTube channel. I still talk about Sonic and all that, but I started out as a kid, and that is when I became a viral sensation under the name Sammyclassicsonic, and I was known for like, I became viral for raging about Sonic, but pretty much the whole point of that was because I was, a big fan of Sonic back then. Still am. So, yeah, that is a brief summary.
I'm quite happy to have you here. So you have become, as Radley said, yes, an internet sensation, a meme for a while.
I have, yeah.
And now I would like to think that you've become, I guess in a very kind of predictable fashion, your own man, yeah. And so you've come,
because there are kind of like two outcomes when it comes to, memetic people. Like there are people who actually turn out to be, good citizens of society. I would consider myself a good citizen. Maybe not perfect, but I'm all right, and then, there are people on the complete opposite side of that, where they just kind of, be the way that they've presented themselves to be for the rest of their lives. And, I don't have to name any specific examples, but, but yeah, I like to think that I'm not one of those people.
Oh, no, I definitely don't think that you are. I think that, looking at your Instagram and your YouTube over the past few years, I would like to think that you essentially embraced the meme, and you definitely have a sense of humor about it as well. It doesn't bother me anymore. Like, if you talked to me like 5 years ago, maybe I would kind of like try to, dismiss it a bit. Like, that was, that was all pretend. I don't even like Sonic, actually. I think it's stupid, and none of that represents me. So, but now it's just like, that happened, so, and
you know what, that's just a part of my history. That's just how it is. So
Well,
yeah.
So to a greater extent, I mean, when we're all put in front of a camera or when we're all being recorded, we definitely do have a character we play. We definitely exaggerate.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
and
to
whatnot.
a degree, I will admit it was like just me playing a character, but not to like the same degree as like Angry Video Game Nerd, where that's like literally him acting. Like that's not really the case. But it's just like at the same time though, like back in my school days, I was kind of like maybe not necessarily the shy kid, but I was sort of like I was kind of like other kids, I was like jolly and a bit like more carefree and on the innocent side rather than like angry, destroying things constantly. That wasn't really what I was like all the time. So
there definitely is a kind of like stick with early YouTubers and being angry. Like, well, what is that exactly? Like, you have Angry Video Game Nerd, or he was Angry Nintendo Nerd. You have Angry Joe, and you have
I feel like
Sammy.
I feel like just back then, that was like just sort of like how you got people's attention. You know what I mean? It's like if you're just like sitting down and talking about games, that like some people like that, but a lot of people are like, oh, this is boring. But if you're in front of the camera and you're like being all like like what you just said, angry and stuff like that, then regardless of what the subject is, people are interested because like, wow, look at this guy, he's mad, this is funny, so I think that's what it is. Like I like with me, I think the main reason like people liked my videos wasn't necessarily because of Sonic, but had more to do with the fact that I was like a kid with a high pitched voice, like just getting mad pretty much and shouting. So
I definitely think that it just crossed my mind, but yeah, growing up reading such video game magazines like Game Fan and was Game Players, a lot of the reviews that were about bad games, or a lot of the very angry reviews, even though they were just written in text and whatnot on a website or a magazine page, were actually very amusing, very funny, the way these reviewers genuinely seem to be offended by a poor quality product. So I think that's kind of like where it gets into, where if you do almost cartoonishly voice a negative opinion on the internet, it goes both ways. Either people are laughing at you or laughing with you, and it becomes its own form of entertainment. So hence why you and Joe and Angry Video Game Nerd kind of took off around the same time.
Oh yeah, and well, I mean, unlike them, I didn't really like stick to doing that because they were like way older than me. Like they knew what they were doing. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I mean,
you did it very well though.
Oh yeah. I was kind of inspired by that manner of presentation, I guess you could say. But I didn't really stick to that. Like in most of my recent videos, I'm just like kind of being calm and just being myself. I mean, sometimes I kind of like try to, just for nostalgia's sake, try to put on a show a bit, but that obviously like people realize that's just me being meta. That's not really like how I actually am anymore. So it's not really like the same as how it was back then, where it was like obvious, like like, oh, okay, he's this guy, or this kid, he's got he's got some stuff on his mind, so.
think that Sega is the one Japanese company that has a lot of significant interactions with its fan base. And that's where I lead into this interview of you, in that I would deem that the identity of Sammy the Classic Sonic fan may have actually contributed greatly, both culturally, in the way the general public views Sega as a pop cultural icon here. So I think that
maybe it did. Maybe it did. Hopefully, positively.
Oh no! That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I think that what Sammy the Classic Sonic fan, or what you did back then, definitely gave. I mean, as ridiculous, debatably ridiculous as those videos may have been, it made people actually kind of realize that they could speak up their opinions, maybe talk directly about how they felt the direction of Sonic games and other video game series were going. And I might dare say that without the influence of Sammy the Classic Sonic fan, we may have not had those changes to the Sonic movie. We may have not had Sonic Mania. We may have not had the whole kind of personal interactions that we have between the fan base and Sega themselves.
Wow, dude! If I was really that important, then hopefully that's the case. If so, it's like, wow, man.
Yeah, I know. Mark was telling me this last night, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, I had no idea. I'm like, so this is why Mark really wanted Sammy on the podcast, because I guess he really thinks you're a pivotal, piece when it comes to Sonic history. Really?
Well, it could be. I mean, some people call me. They would say like I was a prophet, I guess. So it's like. Sure. Okay. Whatever you want to believe.
Well, I think it's easy to dismiss a 15-year-old boy yelling at a camera. So let me elaborate just a little bit.
I get what you're saying, though. But yeah.
Well, let me elaborate just a little bit more. And what I'm saying is that, like, you becoming a meme, your videos doing that, going viral, I feel brought to the attention, like, a more generalized crowd of what. A representation of what a Sonic fan is in more mainstream. Whether it be positive or negative, it did bring attention to that, and that, and I guess a few other interesting individuals that went into the mainstream as well because of Sonic. It brought to attention to Sega that they really had a serious fan base of both interesting people and very serious individuals that had a voice that they had to acknowledge.
Yeah, and maybe like in a sort of in a way, like I don't know if it was necessarily my intention, but maybe it like helped the Sonic community become less divided, because Generations mainly was responsible for that, but like around the time I was making my videos, I feel like, there was a lot of, like, people in the Sonic fan base who were either, like, pro Classic Sonic or pro Modern Sonic. But when they saw, like, sort of the extreme side of the fence that I was on, just me sort of, like, making a big deal out of this, maybe they were like, okay, maybe we're taking this too far. Maybe we just need to be a little bit more, united, a little bit more, like, consistent with one another and willing to, compromise with one another so that we can, make Sega realize, like, they just need to focus on making something for everyone rather than, just trying to please one side of the fan base or another side of the fan base. Like, no more of that. No more of that. And I think Sega eventually, caught on to that, even though in a way they're still kind of struggling to do that. But that's besides the point.
Most definitely. I would say that, as I had said earlier with you, like off camera, was that the Sonic movie is one of the very rare occasions where we've seen a production company turn around and not throw back fan criticism, but to actually respond to them, go back to the studio and give
Yeah.
fans exactly what they wanted. So initially, the design of Sonic was so bad that it got several thumbs down on the trailer
Oh,
on
I
YouTube.
remember. That was
And
possibly one of the most disliked YouTube videos.
and I remember in your interview with Chad Tronic, you actually quoted yourself saying that I didn't even have to make a video. Like, everyone else did it for me. Everyone else gave their reaction.
Because
So
it's true. Like, I, like, at the time I was just sort of taking a hiatus anyways. I was tempted to come back and, chime in about that, but it's just like, what could I possibly say that others haven't said already? Like, other people are already vocalizing out against, how pitiful this movie looks. So it's like, okay, I'll just observe, I'll just spectate, I'll just see where this goes, and the rest is history, I guess. So
yeah, so I mean, this really was the first time that we've seen a Hollywood studio, Paramount, go back, and after months of more work, they redid the design of Sonic, and they gave fans exactly what they want, and they profited from it.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's weird. It's like, in some ways, I feel like Paramount is kind of handling Sonic better than Sega is.
Well, and oh boy, that's low.
That's a good soundbite there.
Ow.
I'm gonna put that on top of the podcast right now.
Yeah. I mean, okay, maybe not everyone will disagree with that, but
so
yeah.
Looking at where you are today, do you ever wish that you had some notoriety for, like, on the internet that wasn't for what you did in the past?
Yeah, like there have been times where, kind of like how I told you, like, I have sort of come to embrace my past and everything. At the same time, the thought has crossed my mind, a lot of different occasions. Like, what if I had like a button, and it was like a magic button that I could, use to like reset everything back to before all this happened, and I could avoid like all of the, negativity and the people who sort of like try to corrupt me and like almost like ruin my childhood in a way, which it didn't happen. That obviously didn't work because my childhood was not ruined, but it was close. It came pretty close to that at times. So yeah, but
oh man,
I wouldn't like undo all that, because there have been a lot of good things to come out of it. Like I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine where I would be at if none of that happens, because like, a good portion of my friends, I wouldn't know if it wasn't for all that stuff. So that's one thing. And another thing is, there have been like really neat opportunities to come out of it. Really, and it's like, it's been a way for me to like sort of connect with others rather than because I'm like autistic, so it's always been kind of hard for me to like find ways to connect with people. But that has been one way. That has been one way to like like share something interesting about me. And yeah, so.
Well, it seems like you did handle it well. I mean, you are where you are. You are where you are now, and just talking to you right now, it seems like you're a very level-headed individual.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm pretty level-headed most of the time. I still have my moments, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you gotta rage out a little bit.
Oh yeah. Totally.
But so there must have been. I mean, I know that there most definitely was some traumatizing things that happened to you upon becoming a meme or going viral. Most notably was, I think at one point you were actually doxed by somebody.
Yeah, that gave me a good scare. That gave my parents a good scare too. They did not like it when that happened. They were like, they kind of were just at that point. They just didn't really trust me with the internet anymore. They felt like, like the world was just trying to take advantage of me and my my less than good decision making.
Well, and that was only about a year into making videos for you as well. So
yeah, like I didn't have the foresight. You know what I mean? I didn't know what was going to happen in the long term.
So as like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, how do you deal with that? And then how do you just then come back and keep doing it?
Well, I did come back. I was pretty like persistent. Like my parents were trying to keep me away from it, but there are only like when it comes to being a teenager, like there's only so much your parents can do sometimes. Like there's only so much they can do to try to control you because, I was clever, like I found ways to like get around that and, just sort of be like, whatever, like coming back and with different channels and like secret names like, Snoopy Flying A64 and, like, what, I've had like at least, I would say a dozen different names for my YouTube channels, just cause like, yeah, I just had to, find a way to keep doing this because, despite everything that was going on, despite all the negative pressure, I still realize like this is something that I enjoy and I don't want to give it up just because like, some people are like trying to like push me into giving that up or, well, I mean, it maybe that wasn't necessarily what they were trying to do, more so like just trying to be embarrassing and stuff like that. But, just in a way trying to remind myself like, you know what, I'm not gonna let this sully my enjoyment of it because, this is just what I like doing. I like, doing these videos and talking about Sonic and, just sort of like bringing my energy into the table. It's like, it's an outlet. It's a way of creative expression in a way.
Right.
It was, yes. So, I just didn't want to forsake that. I just didn't want it to be all for naught.
Oh, okay. Oh, that I guess that's all right. And now I guess I understand that. So you wanted to keep going because after you've already dived in deep, gone viral, and gone through the worst of it. Well, it can't get much worse. You just keep
like if I just let that all go to waste, that would just be giving them what they want. Like they want me to. They want like some of those people wanted to see me fail. Well, it's like, if I just give up, then that would be a failure. But if I just, if I powered through it and show them that like, I can change. I can be, I can have actual character development.
And here we are today. Yeah.
And you can have a character arc and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
he did.
Like a reality show in a way. So.
But after going viral and growing up, I mean, I think even like PewDiePie like actually like covered you. So.
He did.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'd like to know what your opinion was on that. Like, how does it feel to be like one of the biggest YouTubers in the world? Covers you. What does that feel like?
That was, because I just remember when that happened, like everybody was saying like, dude, did you know that PewDiePie made a video on you? And I was like, wow, like I have to see this because it's PewDiePie. Everyone knows who PewDiePie is. And, and I did see his video and then, it was like, Sammy, if you want to come onto my channel and do me review, the invitation is yours. I was like, oh, sweet. And, that didn't end up happening, of course. But,
I wonder why.
I tried to sort of like respond and say that I wanted to do that. But I guess maybe he just never saw it or like he changed his mind. But it happens,
PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've messaged him before when he was in Japan once, and I told him what to go see, and he responded to me. I was like shocked. I'm like, what?
Well, I don't know why he didn't respond to me then. Maybe he did have a change of heart. Maybe that was just like for the video. He didn't actually expect me to respond. That could be it. But I thought that was regardless, it's still really cool that like the number one YouTuber, or well, now it's like he's still one of the top channels. And he made a video about me. So I was like, well, I'm definitely not like irrelevant. I'm still pretty irrelevant because like that was only like what, back in 2019. So yeah.
Wow.
My God.
One thing I wanted to kind of ask you, the one thing I don't understand is why do you think people were so mean to you? Like to dox somebody on the internet, that's serious, Yeah,
that was maybe just because they knew they could, because
so it's just like a bullying thing.
Yeah, it could be because
it definitely was.
I mean, really, a lot of that behavior kind of goes back to like elementary school, and and
it's true.
Yeah, or even like high school, like just with the mindset of bullies and whatnot. Like, I was never like a bully myself, but I mean, I like knew people who were bullies, and like, their mindset is like, I can, and they have like vulnerability, so it'll be amusing to sort of like prey upon that, and that obviously that sucks. Like I I'm not at all supporting that, especially since it affected me. So, but
well, yeah, I mean that's what trolling is. It's about trying to get more funny reactions out of a person who's already kind of seems unstable.
Yeah, like it wasn't that hard for people to figure out that I had autism. Of course, I eventually just like kind of doubled down and confirmed it because it's just like that it's never something that I was really that insecure about. But at the same time, people know that you have that. They will like kind of try to make it seem like oh well, wow, look at this, he's autistic, and you have him behaving this way in these videos. Obviously they're directly related, and I mean I'm not denying that there's perhaps some relationship between those two things, but that's besides the point. That doesn't really justify what they were doing at all. So but when I feel like that's kind of like one of the reasons that I kind of want to be a teacher, because it's like I want to help people, by sort of equipping them for when these things inevitably happen, or maybe not inevitably, but they could happen.
It's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
especially nowadays. It's like I'm gonna share like my experiences and what I've learned, and because I mean,
that probably could be a real value to somebody.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm probably not like, I'm probably not like a role model or anything, but I could probably, give some helpful advice, to someone who's perhaps in the same position as I am, or something resembling that, because you never know what's going on with like I was a teenager back when that happened. You never know what's going on with teenagers nowadays, especially with like all sorts of things now, like TikTok and whatever else, Snapchat. I don't know.
Snapchat,
but,
Instagram.
Yeah. Half those things I don't even really use, but it's like it's even more likely for that to happen to you know, some random kid now than me, because it's like, yeah, it's so easy nowadays to just put yourself out there.
I mean, we definitely have entered an era where I don't think privacy actually exists, especially for young people.
Not really.
No,
especially with the data mining and whatnot, like Facebook stealing your information, or Meta now, whatever. I'm not even going to call them that.
I would dare say by the time you become a teacher, I mean, none of your students are going to have their lives in full broadcast for you to see out there. I mean, hopefully there comes a better understanding of who they are by then. But
I mean, I have like cousins who are like less than 10 years old, and I mean, their parents aren't keeping them away from social media. You know, they all have social media, and you know, even when even back then, like I had, you know, very like serious restrictions when it came to that, you know, and it wasn't just me, it was other kids too, because like, you know, back then it was like, you know, that's just a given. Like you can't really have your kids doing that until they're, you know, mature enough to understand how to use it properly and like avoid potential threats. Like,
oh boy,
you know, like I didn't even have a Facebook till I think like until I think I was like 13, possibly. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, and that's pretty much how it was with other things too. Like YouTube, I did create an account when I was 10, but you may notice I didn't like upload any videos until I was like 14 years old. So that's, but nowadays it's like parents are a lot more lenient. And even if they try to like, you know, put some rules down, it's very hard to keep the kids away from that, because it's so intertwined with everything now. You know, everything's like dictated by social media. So
right. And so from that example, from what you just said, and also your own experience, I want to lead into the question that I've kind of been apprehensive in asking, but there is another individual who is a bit similar to you in that he came about in popularity around 2008, 2009. He ended up broadcasting his Sonic fandom, his life in front of a camera, and was met by negative reactions from 4chan to all over the internet.
Was it
because of his behavior? Yes, we're referring to Christian.
Yeah, that was kind of obvious. Like,
if you can't guess at this point, yeah, no.
Yeah, he's perhaps even more notorious than I ever was. So
right. So I mean, Christian is and a completely opposite example of from where you have ended up. I mean, Christian is a person who
probably is the opposite, at least in terms of how he turned out. So.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I would say Christian is a person who has often declared and used his autism as an excuse for his behavior, and then also I have been very sympathetic to the way the internet has treated him, but he has directly interacted and essentially entertained trolls for years to the point where it affected his mental health, his life, even his relationships, which weren't completely imaginary. It's I mean, it in itself is an entire podcast we'll have to have at a later time. But
definitely do that.
And
there's a lot. You probably have to make like 5 podcasts about him. There's a lot of history there.
But I mean, what are your feelings on him? And I mean, I hate to say it, but what sort of comparisons do you draw between him and yourself, and how things actually did work out for you, and why? How did he end up the way he was, in your opinion? Like, what do you think the internet's reaction to him in relationship to his Sonic fandom and whatnot? Like,
I mean, I guess with him, it was kind of obvious, like, that he would turn out the way he did, because like the main difference between him and me is like I you know, all this happened was when it was like really early in my life. Like I was like 14 or I was 14. Basically.
Oh, you were much younger than Chris, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, I would say he was at least like in his mid-20s, right? I think. So.
Yeah, I think he was
early.
He was
20s,
in college. Yeah, he was starting college.
Oh, okay. So I guess maybe a bit even before that, but still like old enough to where he would realize like, or that he should realize that this is just like this is embarrassing, man. This is ridiculous. So it's like, and I'm not like I've seen bigger turnarounds than that. Like I've seen people, come back from like how they were before, even more drastically from how Christian might have, which he didn't. But it's just like it was just a gradual descent, I guess. Like it was just sort of meant to happen because it's just like I don't know, like he's just not going to change, like he's an incel, but that's not even like the worst thing about him. He's just kind of it. I don't know. Like there, I mean, like I said, there's a lot to unpack about that, really. So I don't even need to go into everything.
Man.
Like the.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Pretend to be his girlfriend and like, and even more recently him being like trans. I guess. I mean, I don't know whether I should be respecting his pronouns right now or not, but I guess I mean I keep on saying him, so I guess.
Well, in my opinion, if we're referring to Chris prior to the transition,
yeah, I guess
Chris was a he. Yes. Christine, which is what Chris Chan goes by now. I'm not entirely sure. Although, I mean, we're not trying to intentionally offend anybody when we use the word he. Excuse me. But.
Oh yeah. No, I totally. I agree. That I'm not trying to be offensive right now. I'm just saying like he, like he wasn't like really willing to like admit his mistakes and see that he was, that the way that he was acting was just not good. Like not once has he taken accountability for anything that he's done. And like when it comes to me, like in my autism, like yeah, I acknowledge it's a thing that exists, but most of the time when like something happens, something happens and it's not good and it possibly reflects negatively on my character, I don't immediately attribute it to autism. Like I look for other explanations first. Like, okay, is it a personality flaw, or is it because I didn't know enough about what I was doing beforehand, or like, there are a million different reasons for what could have happened other than autism. Like, in some ways, I don't even understand what the heck autism is. I mean, I kind of do because I have like autistic friends and stuff like that, but autism is different for everyone, so it's not really like a get out of jail free card. It's not like an excuse for everything that you do, because like how much of what Chris has done is just his personality, or is it autism? Like I would say it's more so the former. I think it's got more to do with just his personality. Like if he didn't have autism, who knows, maybe he would be just as much of a creep as he's been in the past, like when it comes to stalking women and stuff like that, and drawing nude animals in his comics. It's just weird. It's like how much of that is autism's fault. I doubt it. That just doesn't sound right to me. I don't see many autistic people doing that. So
no, I don't think it's at all about that. I mean, it's about there's nature and there's nurture, right? And I unfortunately think that
a lot is nurture. Yes.
I unfortunately think that the household that he grew up
parenting, yeah.
And him having things consistently handed to him, right? It's much like how at the zoo they say don't feed the bears, because if you do feed the bears,
they do say that. They do say that.
And the reason they say it is because if you do feed certain animals at the zoo, they get lazy in the sense that they stop scavenging for food. They essentially just sit there and they expect people to hand it to them. So Chris living on his tugboat, getting his monthly allowance for his disability, and then essentially living on that and not working any harder for anything that he wants, created the monster that he is today. I mean, on top of the putting it on full display for the internet to see. So
yeah, that's a good point. I feel like that's in a way kind of a problem that a lot of like parents of autistic children have. Like maybe in Chris Chan's case, possibly a bit worse than usual, but I've seen a lot of examples of like autistic people who have parents who don't really think they're capable of doing like anything really, and like they're sort of treated as though like they just sort of get things, like they shouldn't have to like try to learn like personal responsibility and work towards it, because it's like they're treated like they don't have the mental capacity to even possibly do that, and which I think in a lot of cases isn't necessarily true. Like, fortunately, my parents weren't like that. My parents still treated me like a capable human being, and I wonder if like if like other autistic people were treated more like that growing up, that perhaps they would turn out differently, and who knows, possibly even Christian. I who's to say?
Well, I was interested in hearing your opinion. Again, I didn't mean any offense by making a direct comparison between you and that creature. But,
I mean that obviously, it's like he has autism, I have autism, like he probably has maybe a worse form of autism just because of his utter lack of self-awareness. But
no, I'm sorry, but my comparison was not because of autism. It was because
like
of,
also that we're both like infamous Sonic fans.
Yeah. I was referring mainly to like the similar YouTube discovery of the two of you, and how you were both, I guess, in a way trolled.
Yes,
and,
that
like,
too.
whatever.
I was also thinking of that.
That's more so what I meant. I didn't.
Yeah, no, I get what you meant. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was. I was just saying, like, that was one of the similarities that I was thinking of, but I knew all the other similarities you were talking about. But yeah, like I knew about Chris Chan back in the 4chan days, where 4chan was like spreading my meme around and all that, and I caught wind of that, and I kept on seeing that name thrown around, like Chris Chan. I was like, who is Chris Chan? Who the frick is Chris Chan? So, and like, I looked him up and all that, and first I kind of felt bad for him because I didn't really understand the full context, because it's just like, okay, oh wow, they're just trolling him. Wow, good job, guys. But obviously, as I learned more about that, I was like, ew.
I still
like that.
I still feel bad for him. But I mean,
I sympathize with him still in some ways, but
it's very complex.
In other ways, he kind of, deserved what happens in some ways. So
it's a very complex kind of conversation in itself. I mean,
it is. Oh, it is. Yeah. Again, that's a whole nother can of worms, I guess. So, but yeah.
How would you compare your followers today opposed to the followers you had back in 2013? Is it like night and day difference? I mean, I imagine your goals were different.
Difference.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can tell like they're actual genuine fans. They're not just like there for the lulz. They're like, they kind of stuck around because they, like grew attached to my particular personality, and yeah, so obviously it's like, if it was for them, if it was just about like, me being that specific version of myself, that specific character, then I'm pretty sure they would all have deserted me by now, but they haven't, so that's good, it is. So
would you say that your goal is still relatively the same as it was back then in 2013, or has it really changed?
You said my goal? What?
Yeah, like when you set out to make a video, I mean, obviously, like when I set out to make a video, I usually have like some goal, like, okay, so like with this podcast right now, my goal is to, learn something, pick out something that could be beneficial for other people. I imagine like probably when you were making your, I guess we would call them reviews. You call them reviews?
Reviews, rants, I all sorts of different things,
you did news, you did coverage.
Yeah,
news,
I gaming, news mainly. I guess like I never really had like a fixed goal. I sort of just like, tried like whatever I found works best. At the time it was like the rants. That was like my main thing, but I also had other things that I was trying to do, like as I said, the adventure videos, and I even like kind of tried to write my own, or I like share my own stories at one point. Nowadays I don't share my own stories. I make stories still, but it's kind of like just one of those things I just keep to myself, but anyways, and then over the years I sort of just like, tried a whole bunch of different shapes and forms of content, like, like the Instagram stuff is just me, doing, just living life, and then, trying to think of other things. I
keeping it real.
Yeah, keeping it real. I've also been sort of trying to step my foot into the door of like game playthroughs, although been kind of inconsistent with that, like I was doing a Mario Odyssey playthrough for a little while. I probably wouldn't play games that are like super mainstream, like
right.
I don't even know if Fortnite is still mainstream or what, but that's something that I would never really indulge. Also like as you pointed out, like even some more like things that are more relevant to what I'm currently like, such as fitness related videos. Sort of tried to pull off something like that a bit, but obviously that's still something that I haven't really fleshed out too much. But I guess if I had one goal, then maybe it's just like sort of like being like a jack of all trades, like
right.
sort of a jack of all trades. I had some other term in my head, but I kind of
just like
lost
somebody
my train
who
of
does
thought there. But yeah.
Oh, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to say like just trying to do a little bit of everything and seeing what people like, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. What they like. And what I like too. I feel like it's it's good to have that balance of like what people want and what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I don't want to do something just for the sake of others if I don't like doing it. Like
right.
For instance, the rants. Like, I mean, occasionally I think it's kind of fun to sort of do a throwback to that, but it's like if I want that to really be my main thing anymore, because it's just like it doesn't really suit me. Like. Yeah, so.
Yeah, you'd hope that us as humans, we evolve, we transcend,
evolving.
We do things.
Yeah, exactly. It would be selfish of, like, certain fans to just wish upon me that I never really develop at all. So so.
Well, Sammy, it's been a pleasure. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Oh, me?
And anyone.
For the podcast, wait, real quick. What is some content that we can look forward to seeing from you soon?
Yeah. As I said, like there are plenty of other ideas for content that I have that aren't just like things that you normally expect. Like, because nowadays I just do like discussions and news and occasionally like me playing video games for all to enjoy. But it's like I kind of want to try different things. Like, who knows? Maybe I can even try sharing some of my stories that I do, because I haven't really done that in a while, and I'm sure that I'm much better at that than how I was, like, say, in 2014. So I have a lot of ideas. I'm full of ideas. I am pretty creative, so just expect that, but also understand that I'm just inconsistent. Like I just am. Like I'm just sporadic. So I'm unpredictable when it comes to when certain things will happen. So expect great things, but don't expect them right away.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
sounds great. I mean, we should all look forward to that. So if you want to follow any of us, be sure to join the Discord down below, a Sonic Historian Discord. Have a conversation with us. You have a Sonic story to tell us. This is a collective resource based upon, Sonic the Hedgehog. And we want to learn more, and we want to see if we can like take those those talking points. Was Sonic ever good? And Sonic had a rough transition into 3D, and see if we can argue against them. So
of course, Sonic has been good. He is still good. I'm kidding. Well, not about that. I fully believe that. But I'm just. But yeah. No, totally.
Yeah, no. I guess that's the primary reason. Like I remember hearing that talking point. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, are they right? And then I thought about it for a minute. Like, no. Like, there's so many people out there. There's tons of people I can talk to about this very topic.
That's like Game Informer. They kind of like try to cast doubts. They're like, oh well, what if Sonic's always been bad? It's like, well, Game Informer, you've always been bad. So.
Wow.
Same with you, IGN. All right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I feel, though. That's just how I feel.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, ice burn from Sammy.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man.
I hope they see that. I hope they see that, and that's a wake up call. But,
All right.
yeah.
That's a perfect
Ice
way to
burn.
end it. Yeah.
Oh. You heard it here, Game Informer.
Also, if you want to follow me on Twitch, I'm on radculture at twitch.tv/radculture. I stream Sonic games every now and then. You can find me on YouTube. I also have I do another podcast, Why Come Japan, as I mentioned prior, where I interview creatives about Japan and how it relates to Japan. And Mark?
Oh yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Super Famicom, just like the Nintendo system. And I also stream on Twitch myself. I mainly do Japanese retro games.
You can find him under Famicom Mark.
Famicom Mark.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Famicom Mark. And Sammy, I think, speaks for himself.
Oh yeah. Imperishable Sammy Zenith on Instagram, Sammyclassicsonicfan on YouTube. Yeah. So indeed.
Well, thank you so much, Sammy. It's really been an honor interviewing you. I've been a big fan, and I don't doubt that you've had a great influence over Sonic in modern pop culture.
Why, thank thee. I appreciate that you have that sentiment, and thou art welcome, my friend.
We're getting poetic towards the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right then, guys. See you later.
Yeah, see you later.